Hi. So today I want to talk about the subject of benevolence, or what's sometimes known in Taoism as virtue. It's also known as impeccability, stainlessness, without sin. And that word benevolence means essentially good heartedness. It's a state of consciousness which is free from self concern. So when you're free from self concern, when you're no longer possessed by the personal self and the ego, which is not something you can just get rid of by effort, and I'll explain why exactly before I go into the next bit. The reason why you can't do it by your own will or efforts is your mind, your mentation, which manifests in the fourth dimension as an entity, has control over your mind. And because it's in a higher dimension, it has control over your thoughts and emotions. So when you say to yourself, I see you, I'm going to get rid of you, it already knows your thoughts and intention before you even think it. Because it's watching you from a higher plane of consciousness. So there's no point telegraphing your intent, you see. You can't do that. It doesn't work that way. And people spend like 20, 30, 40 years in meditation trying to get rid of the ego, and the more they try, the more effort they make, the worse it becomes because they're trying to fight it. But the mechanism that's trying to fight it is the ego, is the thing that you have to transcend. The very thing that is seeking enlightenment is the very mechanism of attention that must be transcended in order for self-realization to dawn naturally, because it's your natural state. And it's something that you are experiencing all the time, whether you realize it or not. Because your infinite compassion, forgiveness, love, ecstasy, it just flows freely from the wellspring of your purified heart. But compassion, contrary to what most people think it is, and even what most, I would say the greatest majority of spiritual adepts and practitioners, the mistake they make is they believe or they conceive that compassion is a state of sympathy or pity towards others. But it's not that. That's like sham compassion, false compassion. Why? Because it stems from the place of ego, it stems from the place of confusion. Because you feel sorry about your samsaric condition, your state of suffering, what is projected towards others is an extension of that pity for yourself. It's a ramification of your self-concern, of your self-possession. You see? So it's simply a flyer or entity looking at itself in the mirror. And what's it going to do? It's going to see its own reflection then. So what is it? Just simply self-reflection. It's not it. That's not what compassion is. Compassion is more akin to a blast of ruthless truth. Ruthless truth. As if the sun were suddenly to dawn above dark clouds, and suddenly you see the profound splendour of the day. You didn't see it because the sun, which was always there, like your consciousness, was concealed behind the clouds. So you only saw clouds, you see. You didn't see the radiant sun, the source, pure intelligence of benevolence. And that source, because it's detached and doesn't care and doesn't have pity and is just what it is, ruthless, pitiless, neutral, it shines upon you and through you as the natural condition of benevolence or compassion, mercy, glory, character, virtue, impeccability, spirit, power, right? So that light must come down and manifest through you. There's no point thinking about compassion or worrying about what others are doing or suffering. It's got nothing to do with you. You see, all that attention that's projected outwards towards others, animals and all that nonsense, it's just a false act. It's a pretense. It doesn't mean anything, right? Because it's not authentic. Real compassion, good-heartedness, benevolence must, of course, come from the source. It must be original, must emanate from origin, right? I mean, only the one consciousness can radiate enough benevolence and compassion in order to shine upon all sentience, in order to illuminate the totality of darkness in the cosmos. Only the one source has the energy and power to do that. We can't do it from our separate self. What, are you fucking kidding me? You think you as a separate being can heal the world or change the world? Are you nuts? You simply have to drop the act of ego I. And you can't do it through intention. Right? What do? How do you get around this insolvable problem? As Einstein said, one can't solve a problem from the same level of awareness that the problem presents itself. Right? So you have to transcend the three-dimensional world. You have to get into the fourth dimension, and then you'll see the predator that has you in its grip. It's not your mind or ego, it's its mind. Your mind, your thoughts, your negative thoughts, your emotions, your anxiety, and especially your fear of death, is food for this predator. And so what it does is it downloads through the supercomputer of consciousness a sham compassion in order to trick you into believing that there's anything to change about the world or other people. It shows you only yourself instead of the true state of others. Because what they're suffering in doing in their patterning to ignorance and ego I, and the drama of the personal self and all the stories that are associated with that mechanism, is seen through utterly. It's not only transcended, it's made an object of consciousness. But right now, your compassion is something subjective instead of objective. You are, as a presumed I, a presumed self, saying to yourself, as if your ego were echoing your very words, thoughts and behaviours, and you're projecting the thought that that being has programmed into you, so that you won't actually discover what true compassion is, which is completely detached It doesn't care about your personal self, your ego. It doesn't care, it has no idea about your hopes and dreams. Because the ego itself doesn't exist. It's illusion. It's just an activity. But what you haven't realised is that this activity is your own activity. It's not holding on to you, as it were. You're holding on to it. Like a bad dream that you just want to recall every day, again and again, you see. Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. Am I making any sense? Right, so if you want to slay the beast, the dragon, if you want to defeat the devil, so to speak, although you can't really defeat him, you can just hold him in abeyance until he becomes your ally, your friend, and the shadow's integrated and you're all one true. I mean, all these gurus and teachers, they're only half enlightened because they haven't addressed the shadow. Don't know anything about it. So what you're patterning yourself into to experience the compassion is a state of absolute non-avoidance of whatever mood or state you're in. Don't try to change anything. You let the change naturally uncoil as a response to the adaptation of the true nature, the source, benevolence. That is you. It's not merely the world. The world can't feel compassion for itself. Only the source, consciousness, or God, or the maker, or creator of the world can feel anything because it has an object to feel something for. Right? Of course, when the object of consciousness and the subject, witness, I are one, there is only feeling, only arising, only benevolence then. And thus ego simply doesn't arise. You're in the non-dual state, or the ground of being and becoming. It's all one. Nothing to do then, right? You simply have to attune yourself to the frequency you're already in. And then the clouds lift of their own accord, you see? Just relaxing. Then enlightenment's just a simple affair then. You just naturally, like a little child, you just express goodness, innocence, sweetness. How could you hurt anybody? Your natural expression of bliss, joy. Look at babies. When they're not crying, they're bubbling with joy and bliss. Just that you've forgotten that and you've become this monster or something pitiful. And the thing about all these teachers is they don't know what ego is. They think that ego is just your pitiful little self that goes on fucking blaming and complaining and getting annoyed at the state of the world and, you know, calling other people toxic just because they do things you don't like, or calling people evil just because they don't act in the way that you expect. But actually, everybody operates under the idea that they're doing good. So they're no different from you are then, you see? They're still making the place worse by their very efforts to make it better. Because there is nothing to make better except what must be made better by the law itself. Its designs, its wants, you see? And if you are presently in resonance and oscillation with that one divine being, then your ego can still arise, but it expands to the fullest extent of God then. It becomes something great, something powerful. What, did you think that the Buddha was meek? Or that Jesus had no ego? Are you kidding me? Like preaching from the mount, singing songs. They had thunderous personalities. Humongous egos, you see. but they weren't identified exclusively with the realm of form, such that the whole world could dissolve like salt in water, and they would watch it impassively. The whole universe could disappear, and they wouldn't care. They would simply extend their benevolence towards it and wish it well, and then birth a new universe out of that benevolence, you see, out of that creativity, that love for existence. That's what you've lost, and that is what you must recover. You must be ruthless then, merciless with yourself. Stalk your self-importance until it dies, until it comes to an end all by itself, and then the predator simply vanishes like the illusion it always was. Something that your mind conjured up in your infantile imagination. And I don't mean that to sound condescending, but it's nothing more than a child's nightmare playing itself out in the stupidity of the dark dream of humanity's grave error and fundamental misapprehension of the way things really are. Benevolent, virtuous, spiritual, profound, and pure understanding extended all the way in, all the way out, all the way up, all the way down, infinitely contracting to the most infinitesimal point and then expanding to the most exterior boundary and circumference conceivable by the mechanism of awareness and perception as one conscious unity of divine intervention. Thank you.